It wasn't an algorithm. You need to understand that first. The images and sounds you were shown, the cryptic numbers that appeared in your recommendations, that was a signal, a tuning fork resonating with something already inside of you. You were chosen because you are one of the few who senses that the reality we see is just a fraction of the whole story, a beautiful, hypnotic, but fragmented echo. For months, you've been collecting those echoes, feeling their power without understanding the source. Consider this video the first translation of that source. This is not another theory or a guess. This is the blueprint, the very architecture of the philosophy you've been subconsciously drawn to. What you are about to see is the key that elevates you from a mere spectator of the mystery to an active participant in its unfolding. The puzzle pieces are in your hands. Now, let's begin to assemble them.
Every night, a breach opens. It arrives without fanfare, slipping through the microscopic cracks of your waning consciousness, as naturally and as inevitably as water seeping into sand. You never quite catch the moment it begins. You simply find yourself immersed, the contours of the known world dissolving without resistance. And in their place, a fluid topology unfolds, unpredictable, yet strangely coherent, where rooms fold like origami, objects multiply without cause, and places seem to recognize you long before you recognize them. The dream does not merely arrive, it activates. It does not manifest, it unfurls as if it had always been there, waiting for you to inhabit it again. It's easy to assume it's mere brain activity, electrical discharges, memory consolidation, internal language confused with itself. But then why do certain dreams repeat? Why do some places return to us not merely as hazy variations on a theme, but as stable, concrete structures? These architectures seem to retain your traces. They feel as if they remembered you. What truly transpires when you close your eyes and fall past the threshold, tumbling into that spongy silence where laws shift? In that space, time bends into loops, and gravity is redefined according to parameters that hold no currency in the waking world. There is a hypothesis that dreams are not just dreams in the narrow sense we assign to them, but temporary access points to a parallel plane of existence. There is the possibility, and I am not the first to consider it, that what we call a dream is in fact a temporary access point to a parallel plane, an alternative level of reality governed by misaligned topologies and physical laws compatible only with a floating consciousness. If that sounds excessive, ask yourself why certain dream images wound you deeper than any waking scene, why a face you've never seen follows you for years, or why the longing you feel in dreams seems more concrete than the one that haunts your waking life, when everything is supposed to have form, density, dimension. In these instances, the dream does not appear as a variation of our reality, but as an emanation from a wholly incompatible system. Its internal logic operates along oblique axes. Opposing forces attract rather than repel. Causality yields to a strange symbolic contiguity. It mirrors the same framework explored in discussions of misaligned universes. These are perceptual and structural contexts in which fundamental laws emerge with distorted symmetries. Here, time does not follow a line, but fluctuates like a tide. Space folds into incoherent geometries, and reality responds to principles that hold no authority in our sunlit world. Perhaps what we call a dream is simply a method consciousness uses to establish contact with these tangent realities. Realities still too unstable to support our continuous presence. These images resist interpretation because they do not seek to be read. They seek only to be lived. They do not ask for meaning, but for access, permanence, and experience. Some have called it a psychic field. Others refer to it as a hypothetical domain. And others chose silence, quietly documenting the incredible geometries of dreams, along with the recurring coordinates and impossible motions that, nonetheless, reappear night after night. It is as if the dream obeyed a different kind of mathematics entirely. Consider this. Perhaps you are not the one generating it. Perhaps the dream crosses through you, using you as a passage point, a sensitive terminal in a vast network. And if your consciousness is a temporary grid, then dreams are signals that pass through it from elsewhere. Intermittently, yes, but recognizably. Those who have spoken of the oneiric body, sources scattered and often forgotten, did not do so metaphorically. They refer to an energetic configuration capable of moving independently from the biological vessel. Some dreams are too precise to be accidental. There are places you cannot forget because, deep down, you suspect you never really left them. Perhaps part of you is still submerged there. The dream realm may not be a product of the mind, but a parallel interface, a misaligned layer of the same ontological structure we simplistically call the world. And perhaps the world itself is the variation, the reduced segment, the localized version of a much broader network that reactivates its nodes each night. Certain researchers have attempted to catalog dream structures through topological criteria. Over time, various people have noted with ever-increasing curiosity how certain forms recur independently of culture, historical context, or the dreamer's age. Labyrinths, escalators, rooms opening into impossible spaces, spherical geometries within rectilinear corridors, elevators that neither rise nor descend, but traverse. Archetypes, yes, or maps. But maps of what? And the main question is not what hidden meaning a dream carries, but what it actually is. We need to understand not the plot of the dream, but its physical nature, whether the dream world is a reality or just an illusion. Dreams seem to possess variable density, their own localized time, a kind of internal pressure independent of our will. And you feel it, do you not, when you dream? You feel that certain things happen beyond you. You cannot stop them, cannot avoid them, but you are affected, you are involved. And what if you are inside something larger? What if the dream is a domain with its own rules, with boundaries that are vague but real, accessible only in a mental state that waking consciousness cannot sustain? What if there are others in there, not projections of your psyche, but autonomous entities, visitors, architects? The hypothesis is subtle, dangerous, and utterly captivating. The dream not as reflection, but as environment, not as symbol, but as space. And in that space, you are not the center. You are merely passing through. It's not about deciding whether it's true. It's about listening to the possibility. The possibility that every night you are drawn into a tangent reality with soft rules and flexible limits, where consciousness reshapes and expands, where time does not flow but pulses, where memory is stronger than experience and experience stronger than memory. In the end, you cannot know for sure whether the dream is an alternative reality or just a distorting lens. But you can begin to consider that between those two extremes lies a vast territory where logic loses its grip. It is a place where questions contain the answers, but the answers explain nothing. And when you wake, assuming that really is waking, perhaps you are not returning to yourself. Perhaps you are merely shifting coordinates, crossing from one architecture to another, from one layer to the next, within the same enigma. So yes, continue to dream, but do so tuned to the frequency of the impossible. And keep one eye half open. Sleep with the awareness that what welcomes you night after night may not be fiction. It may just be another face of the truth, or at least of something that resembles it. See you in the next episode.